I'd like to start with some general remarks on teaching ethics. What can we achieve is we can try to increase the ethical sensitivity of the students, the ethical reasoning capacity, strengthen their moral motivation and their commitment, and provide them with some additional survival skills as a professional for their later life after studies. What we cannot achieve is that the students will change their moral behavior or become better human beings or more ethical students. So this is very important. And for supporting this change or these objectives, there need to be a specific classroom environment enhancing this growth in ethical sensitivity and moral reasoning capacity. So there is no trainer or teacher standing in front and telling the right things or the wrong things. So this is quite confusing sometimes for students, that in my role as a trainer, that I do not provide conclusive answers or correct, ethically right answers. So it's part of my job that there is some doubt and that they are challenged, the students are challenged and have to reflect and think. And this needs time. And as a trainer, you need to expect students to defend their ideas through critical analysis. And the classroom environment must be open for many interactions. So let's have a look now at the recently established course, Ethical Issues in Animal Research. Based on what I said, I present you now the overall course goal. So students are able to identify, describe and evaluate moral concepts, principles, and leading normative approaches in animal ethics. So this is an ethics course. Okay. They need theoretical resources, background, fundamental aspects for constructing their own more well-rounded and reasoned positions for or against the use of animals in research, and for critically assessing other people's moral arguments in contemporary debates on animal experimentation. This overall goal has then been divided into specific learning objectives. The first module here, Introduction to Moral Reasoning. So I'd like to provide them background in moral reasoning, moral awareness, normative theories, moral arguments, and decision making. These are 4 parts with respective learning objectives. Now let's have a look what kind of tools I used for providing this learning and classroom environment, enhancing this, or for achieving these learning objectives. On this slide, you can see on the left side the modules, the program, and on the right side, you can see some ethics-specific didactical tools or methods, at least some examples, which I will present you now in more detail. Personal standpoint is actually a task that students need to do before the course is even starting. they need to write their standpoint on the question, can the use of macaques in biometric research be ethically justified? Yes or no, why or why not? So they have to hand in their written standpoint at the very beginning or even before the course is started. When the course then is starting, they start phase 2, this personal standpoint. They take the inputs they got during the course and evaluate their personal standpoint. That's what you can see here. On the left side, the topics, and then step 2, evaluating personal standpoint. So this is a process which takes several weeks then. Third step is then based on the input and their evaluation outcome, revising the personal standpoint. It's very rare that students go from pro to a con standpoint, but at least they try to make a more well-reasoned position and include ethical aspects. And the last step then is analyzing a fellow student's personal standpoint and provide constructive feedback. Second example is the hospital fire thought experiment. It's about the moral status of living beings, from cats, the hospital pet cat, to non-human primates, patients, medical doctors, and so on, in a hospital which on fire. So it's about rescue priorities and providing reasons why there's been a different ranking among human beings or among animals, plants, and human beings. The third ethics-related tool here is analyzing philosophical texts. Students, at least the master students and doctoral students, are used to read scientific papers, but the new aspect is philosophy, the reading of philosophical texts. And they get a handbook, a short paper, how to read philosophical texts. And here they are starting to read excerpts, chapters, or papers, philosophical papers from which are related to different animal ethics position here, or series. The fourth example is students are performing debates and dialogues within class in groups, and they learn the difference between debate and dialogue. Here are two examples how this is implemented in the course. And my last example is the weighing of interests, harm and benefit analysis. After they learned the theory, how this is done, they are asked to revisit a concrete case from the Institute of Neuroinformatics, which is a common institute of University of Zurich and ETH Zurich. They revisit the case that went to the federal court, and it's their task then to do the weighing of interest, this harm benefit analysis for a study including non-human primates. So these are just a few examples of ethics-specific methods and tools I'm using, and I can share some experience and some challenges I'm facing. In general, over all the years teaching research ethics and lecturing now this new course, students are highly motivated and interested in ethics and ethical issues. It's really amazing. And they like the interactive setup of the course. And given that the time of these lectures is now from 6 to 8 p.m. in the evening, after long days of lab work of lectures, of group work, and so on. Sometimes really I have to tell students that the last of it should be then switch off the lights and close the windows. I mean, this is really amazing. And yeah, team teaching, if possible, or inviting experts, other lectures is something which is inspiring for the students and for me as a lecturer as well. And maybe an aspect of ethics-related challenges. The difference between ethics and science is something which is puzzling and troubling for students, at least for some. It's hard to accept that there are so many competing normative theories, and there is no universally accepted normative theories. In ethics, we have to deal with gray areas. It's not just white and black or black and white. We have to weigh different principles, theories, outcomes versus duties, consequences, principles, and so on. Take all these aspects into consideration. Among the students, international students, we have very often different value systems and disciplinary backgrounds. This course, this is very enriching, but it's a challenge as well that all can bring in their value system, and we can take the best profit of it, that we have such a diversity. And another aspect, if this is clear when you have an interactive setup, sometimes it's hard to keep the focus during group work and discussions. It relates to students as well as to the trainer. And my last point is there are several pathways to becoming ethically competent. So it's about education, training, courses. There's common sense and experience, and it's not done with one course. It's a career-long endeavor. And my last word then would be Confucius, the 3 methods, how to maybe learn wisdom. I'm done.